Welcome to the deep dive.
It's great to be here.
I was thinking about our deep dive today, and it's
Yeah,
it's a little different. Really different, actually, and I think it's going to be super revealing.
I think so too.
So today we're going to look at early letters from Vincent van Gogh to his brother Theo,
Oh, wow.
and we're going to kind of forget about those famous sunflowers and starry nights that everyone knows for a moment.
Okay, yeah.
Because these letters aren't the critiques of, his masterpieces or like deep philosophical ideas,
Right.
but it's really intimate and personal.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, a glimpse into those early years and his aspirations and how his worldview developed.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this backstage pass to understanding the man before he became, Van Gogh the legend.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to think about it. It is fascinating to see those early interactions,
Yeah.
these letters between Vincent and Theo. It's primarily from the early to mid 1870s. And you can really see how his creativity and even his emotions, how they're kind of first developing during this time. It's like watching the roots of a truly unique vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really is.
So just to kind of set the stage for our listeners,
Yeah.
who was Vincent in the beginning?
Yeah, great question.
So he was born in 1853 in this small village, Grootsundert,
Yeah.
and it's in the Brabant region,
Okay.
which is near the Belgian border.
All right. All right.
He was the oldest surviving son
Wow.
of a Protestant clergyman,
Okay.
you know, pretty traditional upbringing, I would say,
Mhm.
for the time. Village school, a couple of years at boarding school. Then he spent a bit longer at a higher school in Tilburg. So that kind of sounds pretty ordinary, right?
It does, yeah.
But then here's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
He ends up entering the art trade.
So how does that happen?
Well, it's really interesting
Yeah.
because even though his dad was a man of the church,
Right.
his family actually had some pretty strong ties to the art world.
Oh, interesting.
So 3 of his father's brothers were big figures in the art world.
Oh, wow.
And his uncle Vincent,
Oh, okay.
who was his father's favorite brother,
Right.
he actually really opened the door for Vincent to join Goupil and C. And Goupil, for our listeners, they were this major international art dealing firm.
Wow.
They had branches across Europe and even in New York.
Wow.
So they were a powerhouse, like
Okay.
really a big deal in the 19th century art market.
They were the place to be, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So at just 16 years old.
16.
Yeah. Vincent became the youngest employee at Goupil's branch in The Hague. This was in 1869.
Okay.
And it seems like he had a really promising start.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. He even got a salary increase super early on.
At 16.
Yeah. I mean, that must have been a huge accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. That must have felt great.
Yeah. And that's also when he starts regularly corresponding with Theo.
So this is when their communication really starts to pick up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really important for understanding their whole relationship, right?
Absolutely.
Because the very first surviving letter that we have is from August 1872.
Okay.
So Theo had visited Vincent in The Hague, and you can already see how close they are. Even in that short little note, Vincent even says he misses Theo and talks about their walks together. So it's really like,
Yeah.
you can see that bond forming right there.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, exactly. Those walks together, those intimate conversations, that carries on through all these letters later.
It's true. And then just a couple months later, in December 1872,
Okay.
Theo decides to follow in Vincent's footsteps.
He joins the firm.
Exactly. He's going to start at the Brussels branch in January.
Okay.
And you can feel how excited Vincent is in his letter.
Oh, cool.
He says, "I am so glad that both of us are now to be in the same profession and in the same firm. We must be sure to write to each other often."
Ah, I love that.
Yeah, and that one sentence really sets the stage for, this incredible back and forth that we're about to dive into.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a pact
Yeah.
to keep that communication going.
Right.
And the shared profession, I think, is a big thing for them.
Yeah.
They have this common ground, this understanding of the art world. And Vincent's saying right away that they should write often.
Right.
You can see how much that connection meant to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it wasn't all business, was it?
No. They're already talking about art. You see this right away in the letters.
Yeah.
They both loved the old Dutch masters.
Yeah.
And artists like Corot.
Yeah.
And they're talking about reproductions. And Vincent's telling Theo about the museums he's seeing in Amsterdam.
Yeah, he even asks for updates about, the latest exhibitions in Brussels.
Yeah, so you get a real sense of these two guys. They're young.
Right.
And they're just diving deep into this whole art scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really cool. And what's so interesting for our listeners to think about is how their artistic taste is forming during this time. They're interested in art history and also what's current at the time.
Yeah.
And their work is like this lens they're looking through to understand everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And Vincent's going to museums and he wants all the news about what's being shown. It really shows that proactive way he's learning about art.
Yeah, absolutely. So things are moving along. It's March 1874, and Vincent gets a promotion
Oh, wow. Congrats.
and a transfer to London.
London.
Yeah, and he goes through Paris to get there.
Okay.
And he's blown away by the Goupil offices in Paris. It was a huge center of the art world back then.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And finally, he arrives in London in June 1873. Actually, there's a little bit of a discrepancy in the sources about the exact date he got there.
Oh, really?
But June 1873 seems right.
Okay.
So he starts working at the Southampton Street branch, and he's mainly handling reproductions under Charles Lubbock, the manager there.
That's a pretty big deal. London, I mean, it was such a different world for him.
Yeah.
This is his first time living abroad.
Right.
Whole new culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's interesting that their focus in London was reproductions
Yeah.
because, maybe that had some influence on how he understood the art market at the time.
Yeah, what was selling.
Exactly.
And it seems like his first impressions of London were really good.
Oh, good.
He found these lodgings in a nice, quiet area,
Oh, nice.
pleasant and airy.
Okay, great.
He even mentions that some of the German boarders there enjoyed music.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it sounds like his evenings were pretty pleasant.
Nice.
But he says his salary was a little limited, so he couldn't really, go out and socialize too much.
Yeah, that's tough. Makes sense, though.
Yeah. Then, in August 1873, he moves to Hackford Road.
Where's that?
It's in Brixton. And there's this cool sketch of houses there that is the earliest known drawing he did in England.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And this move is actually connected to his first romantic disappointment,
Oh.
which we'll talk about a little bit more later.
Okay.
So that early move to Brixton and, the romantic disappointment,
Right.
it shows that even back then, his emotions were very connected to his experiences and where he was.
Yeah.
And the fact that he sketched those houses.
Right.
That could be a sign of, him wanting to capture his feelings and surroundings through art.
Right. An early sign of that
Yeah.
urge to create. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. You know,
No, of course not.
he was exploring London,
Oh, nice.
going on outings with his German friends, rowing on the Thames.
That sounds lovely.
He even started gardening.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, he was also reading a lot about art.
Mhm.
He was choking out things like the Gazette des Beaux-Arts and this book by William Berger on French and Dutch museums.
Wow, keeping him busy.
Yeah, and he was going to all the big galleries, the Royal Academy,
Hmm.
the Dulwich Picture Gallery. What's really funny is that he didn't really like English painting at first.
Really?
Yeah, he thought it was like nasty, poor stuff.
Oh, wow. Strong opinion.
Yeah.
So did he like anything?
Yeah, he did like a few artists,
Okay.
like Millais and Botten and Turner,
Nice.
or Constable.
It's interesting, though, to see what he doesn't like. It helps us understand his taste as it's developing.
Yeah, he wasn't just accepting whatever was popular.
Exactly. He was figuring out what he liked and what he didn't like
Right.
and developing his own opinions.
Yeah, and what he liked during this time is really interesting.
Okay, like what?
Well, he really liked artists who painted everyday people, peasant life, like Millet and Breton.
Okay.
And he was really into the Barbizon School and the Hague School artists.
Okay, yeah, those are big names.
Yeah. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
He also liked those popular salon painters like Meissonier,
Okay.
and even sentimental artists like Scheffer and Anker.
Really?
Yeah. He even had good things to say about Bouguereau.
That's surprising.
Yeah, thinking about the later Van Gogh.
Right.
So his taste was really aligned with what Goupil was selling at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's working there, so of course that would have some influence.
Right.
But it's cool that he already liked Millet and the Barbizon School,
Yeah.
and they were all about, those realistic paintings of the countryside and those
Right.
everyday lives of people. So maybe that was a hint of where his own interests were going.
Yeah. And it wasn't just visual art that he was interested in.
Yeah.
He was also a big reader.
Okay, what did he like to read?
Well, he enjoyed the poems of Jan van Beers, which reminded him of home, Brabant.
Oh,
He
nice.
loved Keats. He even copied out the Eve of St. Mark in one of his letters.
Oh, wow.
But his favorite writer was Jules Michelet.
Okay.
He thought Michelet's book L'Amour especially the chapter Les Aspirations de l'Automne was amazing.
Oh, wow.
He called it a revelation and a gospel.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and he quoted it all the time. Even that line, Il n'y a pas de vieilles femmes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Michelet's focus on emotion, nature, and the human condition, that's what really resonated with Vincent.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it shows that he had this deep yearning for connection. And he was really sensitive to, the human experience.
Right, and these are all themes that we see later in his art. So
Exactly.
it's fascinating to see those seeds planted early on.
Absolutely. So meanwhile, Theo gets transferred to Goupil in The Hague in November of 73.
Oh, okay.
So they were closer professionally.
Right.
And then in March 74, Vincent gets some great news. His younger sister Anna is coming to London to find work.
Oh, that's great. He must have been excited.
Yeah, he said it was wonderful news.
Yeah, it makes sense. Having family close by, especially in a new city,
Right.
must have been a huge comfort.
Absolutely. So let's look at this letter, letter 13.
Okay.
It's from January 1874, and it's full of New Year's wishes for Theo.
Oh, nice.
And Vincent says he knows that Theo's getting more interested in art. He even mentions that their colleague Ter Steeg had said some good things about it. And he's just so excited about artists like Millet. He calls Millet's painting l'Angelus du Soir. He calls it magnificent and poetry. And he wants to talk more about art with Theo.
Yeah.
And he encourages Theo to admire as much as you can. Most people don't admire enough. It's like he's trying to, help Theo appreciate art more.
It's like he's mentoring him a bit.
Yeah.
It really shows you how much he loves art
Right.
and how he wants to share that passion.
Yeah.
And there's this cool quote about these artists from Mauve. That's it. It's like they both knew what good art was.
Right.
They had this shared understanding.
And then he just goes on and on about artists he likes.
Oh, wow.
Like a huge list. It's a snapshot of what art was like back then.
Okay, give us some names.
Okay, so he likes Scheffer, Delaroche, Hebert, Heyman, Leys, Tessot, Laguet, Boughton, Millet, Maris, De Groux, De Brécollier Jr., Millet, Jules Breton,
Wow, slow down, slow down.
Fayenne Perrin, Eugene Fayenne, Brion, Junt, George Saul, Israels, Anker, Naus, Vautier, Jordan, Yellowbear, Antigna, Comte Calix,
Okay, I'm going to need a pen and paper.
Rochussen, Meissonier, Samacqua, Madrasso, Z, Boudin, Jérôme, Fromentin, de Tournemine, Passini, de Camps, Bonington, Diaz, T.H. Rousseau, Troyon, Dupré, Paul Huet, Corot, Schreier, Jacques, Otto Weber, Daubigny, Volberg, Bernier, Émile Breton, Chenu, César de Coq, Mile Collard, Bodmer, Cococ, Shelfhout, Weissenbruff,
Okay, you're going to have to email me this list later.
Maris and Mauve.
Wow.
And he even says he's probably forgetting some.
Oh my God.
I know.
That is a lot of names.
It is.
But, it's amazing to see all these artists he was into. I mean, some of them aren't so well known now, but it's important to understand what art was like during that time.
Right.
So we can see what he was exposed to and, how he was forming his own style.
Exactly. And then he gives Theo this great advice. He says, do go on doing a lot of walking and keep up your love of nature, for that is the right way to understand art better and better. Painters understand nature and love her and teach us to see.
I love that. It's so true, right?
Yeah.
That connection between experiencing nature and understanding art. He's saying that you have to observe and be in nature to really get it.
Right.
And it foreshadows how important nature was to him.
Absolutely. And he seemed pretty happy in London at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He told Theo that he has a lovely home and is enjoying exploring the city and, English life.
Oh, nice.
And he says, and then I've got nature and art and poetry, and if that isn't enough, what is?
Oh, that's nice. He sounds content.
Yeah. But he also says he hasn't forgotten Holland.
Yeah. So he has this balanced view of things.
Yeah, he's appreciating where he is, but also thinking of home.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we move on to letter 20.
Okay.
This one is from July 1874.
All right.
And he's just so happy that Theo is reading Michelet and understanding it.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He says the book taught him there is much more to love than people generally suppose.
Oh, wow.
And again, he calls it a revelation and a gospel.
Wow, he really loved that book.
Yeah. He agrees with Michelet's view on women as quite different beings.
Okay.
And he thinks that men and women can have this deep unity.
It's interesting to see how much he's thinking about these things.
Right.
Love and relationship.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Yeah. And it shows how these ideas from books were shaping his thinking.
Yeah, he wasn't just, reading for fun. He was engaging with these ideas.
Right, thinking about them.
Absolutely. And he talks about these amazing walks he's taking with Anna in London.
Oh, that's nice.
And he has this really interesting thought about beauty.
Oh, tell me about it.
Okay, so he says, if one just has a good and single eye without too many beams in it, and if one does have that eye, then it is beautiful everywhere.
Oh, I like that. It's poetic.
It is, right.
Yeah,
It's like this idea of focusing your vision, and then you can see beauty everywhere.
right.
And I think that ties into his art later.
Yeah, how he captured beauty in everyday things.
Exactly. He also mentions some family stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's worried about his dad's health,
Oh,
and he's kind of critical of his parents' plans.
okay.
He talks about Anna trying to find work. And what's interesting is that he says he hasn't been drawing much. He's been reading a lot.
Oh, okay. So a shift in focus.
Yeah. And he mentions that Goupil might move to a bigger shop in January 1875.
Okay, a potential change. It's interesting that he's not drawing as much, though.
Yeah, it might mean that, he was more focused on thinking and feeling at the time.
Yeah, fueled by all that reading.
Right. And the move for Goupil could have meant some stability, in his work life.
Yeah, maybe.
He's really happy to have Anna in London.
Oh, that's nice.
And he even says she's getting more into art.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she likes artists like Balton, Maris, and Jacquet. But he's also realistic. He knows it might be tough for her to find a job.
Yeah, why?
Well, because of her age and because she doesn't speak German fluently.
Oh, okay.
But he thinks she has better chances in London than Holland.
Okay. Yeah, he seems really caring towards his sister.
Yeah, very aware of her situation.
And practical.
Yeah. Okay, so this next part is a big one.
It's about this, well, it's about his love for Eugenie Lawyer.
Oh.
It's a big moment for him personally.
Okay.
So he goes back to the Netherlands in the summer of '74.
Right.
And he does some landscape sketches for Betsy Tersteeg.
Okay.
And then he comes back to London with Anna.
Okay.
And they go back to live with the lawyers.
Okay.
And this is when he falls for Eugenie,
Oh.
the landlady's daughter.
This is the romantic disappointment you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a big turning point for him emotionally. He's doing well in London.
Right.
But then this happens and it really affects him.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that his feelings for her are unspoken at first.
Oh, so there's this tension.
Yeah, it must have been really tough for him.
It sounds like it.
So he eventually proposes to her.
Okay.
But it turns out she's secretly engaged to someone else.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and she rejects him.
Oh, poor Vincent.
Yeah, and I think because he's so intense.
Right.
He doesn't give up.
So it makes everything really difficult.
Yeah.
And they have to move out.
Oh, wow.
He does write a letter saying that he and Eugenie agreed to be brother and sister.
Oh, trying to salvage something?
Yeah, but,
Oh.
it must have been really painful.
Yeah, heartbreaking. You can imagine how much this affected him.
And his letters totally change after this.
Yeah.
He starts sending what he calls gloomy letters to his parents.
Wow, big shift.
Yeah, and his uncle steps in.
Okay.
He arranges for Vincent to be transferred to Paris.
Okay.
But Vincent doesn't want to go at first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But he does go home for Christmas to Helvoort.
Oh, okay.
And he sees Theo there. They have this really emotional reunion.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it makes them even closer.
Makes sense.
And then he goes back to London with Anna, probably to get ready for Paris.
Right. It's really interesting how much this whole experience affected him.
It did.
He was happy in London and then it all changed.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to go to Paris at first.
Right.
Maybe he wanted to stay in London even though it was painful.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then seeing Theo was really important for him.
Yeah, that support system was key.
Yeah.
So May 1875, he gets transferred to Goupil in Paris.
Okay.
He was supposed to be short term,
Okay.
but he ends up staying there until March of the next year.
Okay.
And he's not happy in Paris at first.
Oh.
Yeah. He writes to his parents complaining about working too much. It's like moving didn't make things better right away.
Makes sense. Sometimes a change of scenery isn't enough.
Right.
Maybe he was still hurting from what happened in London.
Yeah.
And maybe he wasn't into the art trade anymore.
Yeah, maybe. But then things start to get better.
Oh, good.
He starts to enjoy Paris.
What changes?
Well, he's living in Montmartre.
Okay.
It was still pretty rural back then.
Okay.
And his room is near the Goupil offices.
Convenient.
Yeah. And he's going to all the exhibitions. The Salon, the Louvre, the Palais de Luxembourg. Yeah, really immersing himself in the Paris art world.
Yeah.
And he's super impressed by this Corot painting, Le Jardin des Oliviers.
Okay.
And later, he paints gardens himself.
Oh, wow. So maybe that's where he got the idea.
Yeah, maybe. And then he goes to this Millet drawing sale at Drouot.
Oh, wow.
And he has this really powerful experience.
Might happen.
He writes, "When I stepped into the hall of the Drouot sale rooms, I felt like telling myself, take off your shoes, for the place where you are standing is holy ground."
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, it shows you how much he admired Millet.
Yeah.
Almost like a religious experience.
Right. And this moment is so important for us to understand where his art was going.
Absolutely.
He's so drawn to Millet's work,
Yeah.
these simple scenes of everyday life. And it shows us that he was moving towards this style of art himself.
Yeah.
Art that shows the beauty of simple things, the lives of everyday people with so much emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he starts decorating his little room in Montmartre with prints. He has works from the Hague School, the Barbizon School,
Nice.
a Riesdale and Rembrandt's Lecture de la Bible.
Oh, nice. So he's creating his own little art space.
Yeah, a place filled with the art that he really connected with.
Yeah.
So then we have letter 30 from July 1875.
Hi.
He says he rented this small room in Montmartre overlooking a garden.
Oh, a garden view?
Yeah, and you know how much he loves gardens later on.
Right.
Maybe this is where it started.
Yeah, maybe.
And then he lists all the prints he has on his wall.
Give me the highlights.
Okay, so Riesdale, Rembrandt, Fiche de Champagne.
Okay.
Corot, he has two Corots, actually.
Wow, a double dose of Corot.
Yeah, Bodmer, Bonington, Troyon, Jules Dupré, Maris, Millet, Daubigny, Charlet, and Ed Frere.
Another long list.
Yeah, and he even describes the Rembrandt print
Oh, cool.
and connects it to a Bible verse.
Wow, so we see that religious influence coming in.
Yeah.
And he really liked those specific artists and those works. It shows us what he was drawn to visually.
Yeah, it's like a window into his artistic taste.
Right.
And at the end of the letter, he gives Theo this advice. Be as meek and mild as you can. Let us always remain good friends.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is, right.
It shows how important their bond was.
Yeah. And around this time is when we see a big shift in Vincent's life. He becomes much more religious.
Really?
Yeah. He starts liking devotional texts more than poetry.
Okay.
He's talking about religion more in his letters,
Okay.
often mixing it with his thoughts about art.
Interesting.
And he's visiting museums and churches.
So it's all kind of blending together.
Yeah. He even says he wants to send Theo a French Bible. And this book, Thomas à Kempis's Imitations de Jesus Christ.
Wow, so religion is really becoming a big part of his life.
Yeah, it's a big change. His letters even sound different,
Yeah.
more serious. And he even tells Theo not to read Michelet anymore.
Wow, a complete reversal.
Yeah, remember how much he loved Michelet before?
Right.
So this is a really significant change for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
He's looking for meaning.
Right.
Maybe he's disillusioned with the art world.
Yeah.
And he's finding comfort in religion. It's like he's searching for something deeper.
Right.
And his views on literature are changing too.
Right.
It reflects this shift in him.
Absolutely. And we see this really clearly in letter 38 from September 1875.
Okay.
He talks about the connection between loving nature and religious feelings.
Oh, interesting.
But he says they're not the same thing.
Okay.
And he thinks that not many people really understand God.
Okay.
Even his own parents and his Uncle Vincent.
Really?
Yeah, and he quotes the Bible